You're listening to the Sisters in Loss podcast, a faith-based grief and loss podcast for Black women, where you will hear stories of miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, and infertility to learn there is a testimony in tragedy. You will learn how to heal, gain clarity, find hope and peace, and turn your pain into your purpose after loss. I'm your host, Erica M. McAfee. Welcome to episode 85 of the Sisters in Loss podcast. Pregnancy, loss, and infertility can be so hard on a marriage. It can either tear the couple apart or bring them closer together. In fact, it is said that almost 80% of couples who have experienced a miscarriage or infertility end up in divorce. In this month of love, we'll be featuring 4 couples showing by prayer, faith in God, and a strong commitment to stay together, their marriages endured the hard times of pregnancy, loss, and infertility. In today's episode, I bring on my husband, Brandon O. McAfee, and we talk about our challenges of growing our family, raising a special needs child, and how we have weathered the storm, 7 years married and 7 years after our first loss of our son, Brandon Jr. We share in this episode candidly how this last 3 weeks has rocked our world. We spent about 10 days in the hospital with our son, Maxwell, also known as Super Mighty Max, and just how our village surrounded us to support us through that time and what we do to navigate the challenges of raising a child with a disability, but ensuring that neither one of us are being burnt out. We talk about in this episode just how we're doing as a couple and what advice we would give to other parents who have children with special needs or disabilities, but also just what we should do as we continue to grieve the expectations of the children we thought we would have and the children that we have currently, especially if they have some disabilities or intellectual disadvantages compared to your neurotypical children. I hope that you enjoy this episode with my husband. We recorded this while we were riding in the car, so you may hear some background noise. I apologize in advance, but there's still a lot of nuggets dropped. As many of you know, my husband is a pastor, and he really shares from his heart how he feels about raising a son who can't do the things that he expected him to do, especially at this age where he's 4. He should be running around, playing games, being into sports and things like that. And I hope that you all enjoy his mini sermon at the end where he just leaves it all on the table and just really shares from his heart how he has felt on this grief journey. I am excited for you all to hear from my husband. So here is Brandon O. McAfee, my love, my boo. Welcome, Brandon, to the podcast.
Hello, glad to be here. I think it's been over a year since I've been on your podcast. What guest was I?
You're episode 3.
I was episode number 3. So what episode are you on now?
85.
Wow, so it's been 82 episodes since they've heard my voice.
So welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
So glad to be back. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Thought you forgot about me.
No, I didn't forget about you. I can't forget about you.
All right.
So this month is all about love, and I've been featuring couples talking about their journeys through loss, through infertility, and just really how they have overcome and stayed together as a couple. So I figured that we would come up here and really talk about just really the last maybe 2 weeks of our lives, how we have endured, 10 days in the hospital with our son, and just how we have managed to make a hospital stay normal for 10 days. And then from there, keeping our son kind of in a bubble until he was well enough to go back to school. So let's talk about that, like how we have managed to have manage our child with a disability and how difficult that can be. So where do you want to start?
Well, of course, it is extremely difficult. It can be draining at times. And it really does change your life. For class, as you know, Eric, but your listeners do not know, I'm in a doctoral program, doctorate ministry program. As a pastor, whereas I focus on matters that in relation to the church. And my doctoral program, my dissertation, I'm talking about how does the Black church, more specifically, the members who attend the Black church, Black Christians who are active in a Black church, how do they care and show compassion for Black parents and Black families who have differently abled children? Now, where I draw the distinction is, I believe that people will say, TP, you're my thoughts and prayers. Thinking of you, we're praying for your family, and that's it. To show care and compassion, and more specifically care, it goes beyond, in my opinion, thoughts and prayers. It goes to really building a relationship with that family, with those parents, with that child, to see what are their needs, what are their emotional needs, how often do they need respite, how often do they just need different interactions, with other families, how often do the parents need just time, it's respite, but they need time alone. What are their financial needs? When we're in the hospital, you had to work. Mm-hmm. And, me being a pastor, I have more flexibility. But, when it came to Bible study, I could have stayed, but, I wanted to go to Bible study, but also I just needed a break. And so to have persons, family and friends who came to not only check on us, but to spend time with Maxwell and to relieve us so that we could go do what we had to do, go home, take a shower, change clothes, get some food, so on and so forth. So I think that's all care. And it's so many other ways, even at church, little things as it relates to, is there a changing table? Do we have special seating or areas that are more conducive for that child, that family? Is the church handicap accessible? And so, again, it goes beyond thoughts and prayer. It goes to care. How do we care for that family? And so, again, it's changed us. It's transformed our lives. Whereby normally our first house was a house where we thought we would just have a neurotypical child, neurologically typical child. And so we purchased a home, and upstairs and downstairs, a 2-level home. Now, it so happened that it had a first floor bedroom, but of course, most homes don't have first floor bedrooms, especially homes that are more affordable for young adults and young families. And so now for us, since we've had Maxwell, when we were looking for a home to purchase, it changed us in a sense where we only had interest in buying a particular kind of home. It had to have first floor living, 2 bedrooms, preferably the master bedroom for us, and another bedroom, close or adjacent, so that we can be close to Maxwell. So that's more expensive at times, harder to find at times. But again, it changed how we shop for a home. We're in the market for a car. Right now, we're driving in an SUV, Toyota Sequoia, but it's not handicap accessible. And so now we're in the market for a car. We have to buy a minivan to meet the needs of our family. When I was flying back from Chicago, I had a conversation with a Southwest employee. And this is not a free plug for Southwest. Just I had a conversation with an employee on what are the things I would need to do, what's the process as it relates to flying with Maxwell if we decide to fly somewhere with him. So this changes everything we do. We have to think about different things. It changes you. And again, you said in terms of our relationship, it changes the texture of our relationship.
Yeah, so talk about that. How do you feel like being a parent to a child with special needs has changed in general? Or let's step a little bit back further. Since we've lost babies, how and we have our rainbow baby, how do you feel like your expectations, and our rainbow baby does have, disability. How do you feel like your expectations of this baby or your thoughts of what your children would be doing has changed since Maxwell? I mean, he's 4 now. So Talk about that.
Well, I would say that we don't know what to expect. Well, I don't know what to expect.
Right.
In the sense, you know that you go to a doctor's office, a pediatrician, they have kind of a milestone and chart, growth chart and milestones for neurotypical children. So, by, 6 months, they should be doing a certain thing. By 1 year, they should be doing a certain thing. By 2 years, 3 years, so on and so forth. They should be hitting milestones and kind of growth markers to show that they are developing and growing at a good pace, for lack of better words. With Maxwell, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. For instance, we know that he's lost 2 teeth thus far in the past, I guess, quarter, 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
At 4 years old, that's early. It's not unheard of, but it is kind of early. And so there's certain things we don't know how Maxwell will develop. We don't know when he will say his first words or if he will ever talk. We don't know when he'll be able to roll over to pull himself up. We don't know when he will be able to reach for something or have enough core strength to sit up on his own and to move his head. Those things we just do not know. And so it's always, we're always in a posture of expecting the best. What I will say that at times it can be hard because you just don't know. You don't know what to expect. You don't know if what you're hoping for will ever take place or when it will take place. And so I think that's some of the things that comes into play when parenting a child that is differently able.
But how about your expectations though of Maxwell? I know you said that these are the expectations that doctors may say what he can do and what he can't do. But how do you feel about just having a son that can't do the normal neurotypical things with you, like play catch or join a sport or do taekwondo, the things that we would do if we had a neurotypical child, we would try to engage them in now early because, he's 4, but we aren't able to do that. How does that make you feel?
It's a constant battle in the sense of managing your emotions. There's sometimes when I grieve what I thought would be able to happen and take place between Maxwell and I. I grieve at times the aspirations I had for him and for us when he was in the womb. A father, any child you want to just bond with. Well, we know fathers at times have a special affinity for boys, for their sons. And so, like you said, karate, throwing the ball around, and just those kind of normal father-son activities, especially for me, being a former athlete, collegiate athlete, there's some things that, I thought I would do with my son. And so, while at times I'm perfectly fine, it does not bother me because I love the child that I have, and I'm learning more and more day by day to accept Maxwell for who he is and how he is. And I do accept him for who he is. But there are times that I grieve, that perceive things that I've lost, that I thought I'd be able to do with him. Yeah. And so it's difficult. It's just kind of, at times the emotions can be on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Especially when just some days this may be hard. Some days I might just be frustrated from something at work, frustrated with something that's going on in my own personal life, and and dealing with Maxwell, and unfortunately, it might just be just frustrated with the whole situation, and so so I think it's just a constant, constantly having to manage your expectation, manage your emotions. Like with anything, like you have good days and bad days.
Yeah, absolutely. Join me and my sisters-in-laws in the DMV on Saturday, April 13th, 2019 at 11 a.m. at Busboys and Poets Tacoma at our annual Sisters-in-Laws brunch. While dining on traditional brunch classics and mimosas, our sisters will enjoy a powerful keynote speaker, a live podcast panel discussion featuring 3 local organizational founders, where we'll be discussing the topics of maternal and infant mortality outcomes for Black women and supporting Black women through miscarriage, pregnancy loss, and infertility. There will be fellowship, swag bags, and so much more. To secure your ticket, go to sistersinlawsbrunch.com. Once again, that is sistersinlawsbrunch.com. I cannot wait to see all my sisters in the DMV on Saturday, April 13th. Let's talk about relationships. It's the month of love. Let's talk about us. So how have we, in your opinion, how have we managed this new challenge of parenthood where and I guess in my opinion, or just thinking about how I see it, is that, I feel like we're in a bubble, and I think that what we do is normal because I don't have a neurotypical child. So the early mornings, the late nights, the multiple times we have to do prescriptions and, extra treatments and stuff, that's just what we do. It's kind of become a norm, like a life norm for us. I don't realize that Maxwell is not neurotypical until I'm around other neurotypical kids. And then it puts it in perspective that, yes, I should have a child at 3 or 4 that's running around, that's talking, that's, having their own personality. So how has that really, especially being around family and friends, how do you feel like that has changed us individually and then us as a couple in our relationship?
Well, just quick, Maxwell does have his own personality.
He does. But you get what I'm saying, Brandon. Yeah. You know what I mean.
So, at times when we invite friends over, or whether it be for dinner, just to hang out, typically they come to our house.
Yes.
And, I'm very conscious and aware of that, whereby I guess the unspoken expectation, or just the routine, I guess, maybe it'd be a better word, is that the people have come to our house. And I say that because, especially if it's at nighttime, we don't always like to bring Maxwell out. It's more luggage we have to carry, more equipment we have to carry, just more things we have to do to be comfortable at somebody else's house with Maxwell. At our house, we have all his seating, all his chairs, we have his bed, we have all his equipment, his diapers. Anything happens, we have it at our house. And so I think this with our interactions with our peers, with our friends, typically they come to us. And I'm grateful that we have friends that haven't complained, at least not to us, but I don't think they mind, because I think they understand, this our situation and this kind of how our lifestyle is.
Right.
With family, I think family, they don't understand how complex, how intricate caring for Maxwell is. The medications and just the routine.
Right.
And his body language, his moves, how he responds to certain things, to certain stimuli. So I think at times it's difficult to leave Maxwell with family members who are nurses or medical providers, because they don't know all his quirks and his moves, and it's kind of his personality. Mm-hmm. And so at times they're less willing, unfortunately, to be left alone with him without a nurse present or just a lot of instruction and guidance. And then, I understand.
That's fair, yeah. That's fair.
For us, like with anything, we've had its ups and its downs.
Right.
I think it's gotten better in a sense. I remember you being frustrated and perceiving that I didn't do enough of Maxwell as it relates to his nighttime routine.
Right.
Like giving him medication, giving him bath, putting him to bed.
Well, you got to bring it back and put it into context, though, for everybody.
Oh, I mean, this is crystal clear context for me.
Why do you feel like it's clear? No.
I think what's helped.
Okay, go ahead.
What's helped was my suggestion, my problem solving. get a week where you put Maxwell to bed, and I get a week where I put Maxwell to bed.
You guys, I'm laughing because Brandon trying to throw shade, talking about he problem solving.
and I feel like for the past few months, it's worked out fine. So you know that this is your week. You're gonna get Maxwell all his medication. You're gonna put him to bed. Like, it's on you.
Right.
And for me, it's the same thing. I know I'm going to get Maxwell's medication, put him to bed. I might even know at times where I know I had to leave, I was going out of town, or, might be home late. Where I said, okay, let me make it easier on Erica. I'm going to get the medication together ahead of time so that you don't feel that you're taking up the slack for me. So I think that's worked for us.
No, it has worked for us. I think that having a routine where we alternated, it takes the burden off the person. So you don't feel like you are, it's a lot. I like I said, it's our normal, but it still takes a lot out of you trying to do that every single night and making sure that you have every set medication, dispensed correctly, that you're giving him his breathing treatments, that you're giving him his bath. And I don't want to make it seem like, that most parents don't have this routine with their kids, because they do. Everybody has a nighttime routine with their children. It's just, this is our normal, and we're just explaining it. But yeah, no, it does help relieve that sometimes, so that you can just focus on some other things that you may want to do. And then you can have your one-on-one time with him just as much as I have my one-on-one time with him. I think that's more so the most important thing. Just like we were talking about the other day, about just taking time out to sit and we both read to him individually, and do that more often than we have been doing.
Right. And I think with this routine, with this schedule, it's cut down, particularly for you, your frustration with me, your feeling of, I'm always doing this, the burden's on me to give Maxwell his medication, so on and so forth. And so when you are less frustrated, less less angry, and you don't feel as if you're doing everything for him and I'm not doing anything, but you're happy with me because there's one less thing for you to be angry or upset with me about. So I think it has helped us relationally.
Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing. But I think we both know and realize that we both sometimes just need a break.
Right. And I think we still have some growth areas. I know when I sleep, I sleep.
Yeah.
That's just who I am. When I go to sleep, I go to sleep.
And he sleeps hard, y'all. Like, you don't hear Maxwell.
So I know it's frustrating for you. Like you said this morning, Maxwell woke up at 4 a.m. crying.
Yeah.
It's almost like for me, if a tree fell in the forest, I didn't hear it, did it really fall? If Maxwell cries at night, I didn't hear it, did he really cry? But for me, no, I didn't hear him.
And he ain't gonna hear him though, because you sleep hard. You ain't gonna hear.
But you hear him. I know.
But I hear, and I get up, and I think I've accepted that. I think I had to get to a place where I had to realize that in our situation that Brandon just sleeps hard, and I can't be frustrated. I can't be mad at him that he didn't hear Maxwell get up in the middle of the night. I just need to get up and take care of him, because at the end of the day, he is what God has blessed us with, and we have to care for him. So I got to get up, put my big girl panties on, and just do it, and not put that frustration on you or on him. And it took me a long time to get to there.
You're still getting there.
What? Why you throwing shade though?
I'm not.
How am I? I feel like I'm better though. Really, I've gotten a whole lot better.
I'm just throwing honesty.
Why would you ain't throwing no honesty? That is shade, Brandon.
Throwing sunshine.
There ain't no sunshine here.
Sunshine and the sun.
Ain't sunshine, nothing.
But I think also, we all have a different skill set. So I know, if Maxwell's fussing for longer than 20 seconds, I'm like, okay, Erica, come get your son.
Well, but I don't think that's a skill set though, Brandon.
You're more patient.
Okay, patience is one thing, but I think kids teach you to be patient in general.
Right. Not
just having a child with a disability. Any child's gonna teach you to be patient.
Right. And
the
Lord ain't through with me yet.
Okay.
And
well,
so, however.
Well, you got to understand the reason why I come to the rescue too, because another thing, when Maxwell gets upset,
it triggers all his other respiratory issues. So we can go down a rabbit hole where he is 100% fine and to, the other side where he's not because he started crying and he's holding his breath trying to breathe. So that's the other issue on why I run, because I don't want him to get to that other place.
Right. And there are times when I know Maxwell just loves to be in health. Maxwell's spoiled where I let him fuss it out and he'll gather himself together and be perfectly fine. And so, like you say, you run to him. When he's crying, sometimes I'm like, okay, son, I need you to boy up. To little boy up.
No.
And get yourself together.
No.
And sometimes he does.
Sometimes, how many times, Brandon? Out of 10, he does. Maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe 5. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to Maxwell's medications and dealing with providers and companies and stuff, that's not really your skill.
No, it's not, because I get so emotionally attached to it, and I be ready to go off on people, and it takes every bit of me to plead the blood of Jesus, because I just feel like it should not be this difficult to provide medication on a monthly basis for him, and we shouldn't have to go through what we go through with our insurance companies, through our primary and through Medicaid every month. So yes, as far as hospital staff and all that kind of stuff, you do much better with people because you deal with people in that regard all the time. I'm not nice, so I'm not going. It doesn't always come off nice. I'm a protective. I'm protective mama bear, but I'm protective, more so than anything. You're protective in the other way. Like you're gonna be the 100% advocate and go to bat for them. I'm just protective, like, Lord, I don't need to deal with this. I'm in my feelings, pretty much.
Right.
I mean, well, I know that, and you. So for me,
sometimes I have to push you.
Well, I understand
deal with this.
Right, but it takes so much out of me. Like the last time that I had to do, I spent 2 hours trying to argue with his medication. That took a lot out of me.
It did. He called me crying.
Yeah, because I did. It's so frustrating. I'm getting emotional now because I don't like dealing with that stuff.
Okay. Need a commercial break?
No, we good. But I'm just, you get what I'm saying. So I guess to circle back is that we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to the care of our son, and we try our best to accommodate them, and so that we both aren't frustrated and mad at each other, and that we could actually still be husband and wife, because at the end of the day, that's what is important for us, to make sure that we are Brandon and Erica first, and then Brandon and Erica as a couple. So since we have, it's almost 7 years since we've lost our first son, how do you feel, basically just how do you feel overall about our loss that we had back in our first year marriage and then now at year 7?
How do I feel just in general?
In general, yeah. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're still encompassed in grief? Do you feel, do you have your moment? How do you feel about just in general about just the whole process, and then just really just how you feel?
I had my moments, especially around his birthday. For me, that's a very private thing, personal thing. I don't like his picture being shown.
Yes, guys. So anytime I do post this picture, 9 times, maybe 10 times out of 10, Brandon tells me to take it down because he does not like it shown at all. But I feel like that's how he grieves. That's the reason why I'm asking you this, because I feel like that's just a part of your grief process. And compared to me, I feel like I can post this picture, and for me, it's more or less that I need to show people that he was here. He was here. I was pregnant. I had a big, huge bump. Like, we went through this process. Like, my body transformed with this baby in me. And it's more so proving to myself and to other people that I did have another child. He's just not physically here with us now, but he was. So that's more or less the reason why I post the picture.
Okay, well, of course,
we disagree on that.
Disagree.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
No, it's fine.
I don't know. BJ will always be with me. I guess I don't. So when I go to the gym at times, I'm on a treadmill, I'm doing exercise. Sometimes I will, if I'm doing a half hour, 35 minutes, I'm getting tired. I'll walk to 41 minutes. Or when I get to the 41-minute mark, I think about BJ because he lived for 41 minutes. Little things like that.
I didn't realize you did that, man.
Little things like that, I try to, do for 41 minutes. Or when I get past 41 minutes, I think about him. Other than that, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about him on a day-to-day basis. I think about, of course, his birthday. I think about him, and so yeah, I with Brielle as well. Both mean very much to me. Meant a lot to me. But I guess just how I grieve, or how I guess my process of continuing on with life. It doesn't consume my thoughts.
I got you. So we're gonna wrap it up, and I want you to just give advice to the listeners out there, men and women, who have gone through a loss and maybe still battling with their grief. What are some tips that you can give them to help kind of face their grief head on?
Well, as some of you may know, your listeners, I'm a pastor, and so this segment is brought to you by Gaskin Chapel, AME Church. We are making a loving impact in the lives of people in the community. You can visit us at GaskinChapel@AME.com. And visit us in person on the Eastern Shore, Virginia, 26211 Savageville Road, Milford, Virginia, 23417.
Are you gonna pay me for this sponsorship?
Dashikas and Diamonds.
Dashikas and Diamonds.
You've already been paid.
African praying diamonds. You are funny.
All right. So today I preached about today and last week I preached. We're in a series on Nehemiah, and in chapter 2, two very interesting things. And really in the whole book thus far we've been reading and studying. Nehemiah has been very honest with his emotion. A few weeks ago, first Sunday, I preached in reference to Nehemiah that it's okay to feel how you feel. And so what I would say is that, as I mentioned even today in my sermon, to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with our feelings and know that it's okay to feel how we feel. If you're sad, if you're happy, if you're grieving, if you want to cry, if you're depressed, if you're mad, you're angry, you have joyful, whatever the case may be, it's okay to feel how you feel. There's no timetable on grief to that. And I'm sure you've shared all these things before in your many podcasts, but you don't have to be pushed to get over it. You don't have to feel bad about yourself if you have in some way moved on, or if you're not always crying. It's okay to feel how you feel. So that's the first piece of advice I would give. Just be honest with yourself and how you feel, and own your feelings, and don't apologize to anybody for feeling good or bad, feeling up or down. So don't apologize. Secondly, I would say, Nehemiah. When Nehemiah went to, in verses 11 through 20, Nehemiah went out to inspect the city. One thing I didn't mention in the sermon today, for the sake of time, was that Nehemiah, although he didn't tell everybody what he was going to do, he still has some people with him. And what I would say is, you and I have been blessed with great friends, great family members. Not perfect, but great. And you cannot get through this journey called life, especially this journey of grief, by yourself. And so I would say, find a community, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, that village, or whether it be a support group, an online support group like Sisters in Laws, find a community that can walk alongside you and walk with you through this period of grief, through this period of mourning. Find a community who can just be, just be with you, because it's not always sad. Find a community who will celebrate, God willing, if you're able to get pregnant again. Find a community that will say to you, hey, maybe if you cannot get pregnant naturally, maybe you can try surrogacy. Maybe you can try adoption. A community that will be willing to speak into your life and exploring all options of parenting. So I think that's important. Find a faith community. As a pastor, I highly endorse that. Again, we cannot go through life alone. We cannot do this all by ourselves. I guess lastly, this question kind of caught me off guard. But lastly, I would say, two things. The first thing is love yourself. Be good to yourself. Take care of self. The Bible says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, what's inferred in that statement is love of self. So love yourself. Take care of yourself. Go for a walk. Go shopping. Cook your favorite meal. Eat your favorite meal. Go to a movie. Try a new hobby. Try again to have a child. Try dating again. Whatever the case may be. Be good to yourself and take care of yourself. Take care of your heart, your soul, your mind, and your spirit. Take care of your finances. And then lastly, take it one day at a time. This journey called life is not a sprint. It's a marathon. So just take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Well, I love you, baby. Thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
You want to do another PSA for us?
No. To all your listeners, thank you. Thank you for having us, for having me. And I hope I said something that'll be a blessing to you.
Awesome.
And I love you as well.
So where can people find you at on social?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Brandon, BRANDON, the letter O, McAfee, MCA as in Apple, F as in Frank, EE. So that's Brandon O. McAfee. That's where you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I also have a personal page. That's Reverend Brandon McAfee on Facebook. Also, you can find Gaskins Chapel, the church of that pastor, on Facebook, Instagram, and I believe also on Twitter at Gaskins Chapel AME. All right. And if you were blessed by my message today, by my thoughts, feel free to cash app us at $ Gaskins Chapel AME. That's $ GASKINS Chapel CHAPEL the letter A, the letter M, the letter E.
Y'all know. Y'all know how they do. Thank you, babe. You are funny.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I pray that this show was inspirational and a blessing to you. For show notes, visit ericamcafee.com/podcast. Please join us in our offline discussions in our private Facebook group by going to sistersinloss.com. If you're listening in Apple Podcasts, please rate and subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review. I pray that you all have a blessed week. Keep the faith, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday.